Good morning, brothers and sisters. Have you shouted for joy today? Did you have any sweet chat with Abba and the Lord? It's so good. All you have to do is to say from your heart, Abba, I love you. Oh Lord, I love you. Do you know how they feel? Abba and the Lord must be so happy. We may not feel their happiness at once, but I'm sure that they're very happy, for they love us so much. He searched out my path and my lying. How can they be unresponsive? For our Abba and the Lord are so compassionate to us. The longer I believe in the Lord, the more I knew the Lord is the most affectionate. Therefore, let's have many love words to respond to Abba and the Lord. Our hearts are really united with His. We can feel His happiness. Abba greets me with His smile. It's true. You really treat us like this. Abba and the Lord have never forget our experience with them. Even we may forget our past, but Abba and the Lord will not. They are so affectionate towards us. I always have the feeling or understanding overwhelmed in my heart when I read the Bible. I hope you and I have many heart-to-heart experience with the Lord. The verses I'd like to share with you today is in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 1 to 6. And it said, the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will let you hear my words. So I went down to the potter's house, and there he was working at his wheel, and the vessel he was making of clay was spoiled in the potter's hand, and he reworked it into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to do. Then the word of the Lord came to me, O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter has done? Declares the Lord. Behold, like the clay in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, O house of Israel. These were the special verses, for God asked Jeremiah to go down to the potter's house, a place where they make the vessel with the clay. He asked Jeremiah to have a look and spoke to the house of Israel. Though the process of how the potter worked with the clay to express God's heart, to tell the Israelites God has opened his heart, I believe God wanted Jeremiah to have a better understanding of the content that he needed to spread to the Israelites. He asked Jeremiah to observe how the potter made the vessel, how the potter molded the clay in his hand, how the clay to be molded. During the observation, he could see the clay was spoiled in the potter's hand, and he reworked it into another vessel. How do you feel about this conversation? Actually, how did God create man? I believe when God asked Jeremiah to go and observe what the potter was making the vessel, God was there watching also. I believe God's heart was in pain as well. When Adam was created by using the clay, God was the first potter. He was the best designer. He must have done a good job on us. It was a pity that the clay spoiled. The difference was not the potter spoiled it, but the clay spoiled itself. How precious that God has the grace of rebirth on us. He saved us and restored us. He molds us into the likeness of the Lord, into the likeness of God, to have the closest relationship with God. I believe when God talked it to Jeremiah, his heart was lingering in memory of creating men. He said, very good. Even these words I felt God has great affection on us. There were 5 times in the Bible has mentioned about the potter and the clay. These verses articulate as our relationship with God. God formed the man of dust from the ground, was the exception, of course. 5 times mention how the process of how God built us up by twisting and molding, how He designed and molded us. It talked about our relationship with God. Of course, it was not the relationship emotionally. It talks about the relationship between God and man as another way of expression. It has shown that man is useful in the hands of God. It is the vessel that can cater God and can be used for God. But every vessel is different, and this is not important. The most important is that every one of us is in God's hand. I like one of the words. It said, as it seemed good to the potter to do. Are we willing to be the clay, to be molded in potter's hand? As a matter of fact, God is making us more glorious and ready for every good work. But sometimes we wanted to escape from the Lord's hand, to stay away from the molding of this potter. In the end, we can't be molded as God's design has planned it. He has to rework us again. Brothers and sisters, it's true, the process we are being molded are painful. The worst thing is to be fired in high temperature. But have you think God made use of these words to tell us our relationship with God and our life shall be more glorious? Unless the vessel to be fired in high temperature, the painting wasn't likely to wear. How we can be tough enough? We may know more about the pottery, for I don't know much. If this should be the case, I don't know in what image God is going to mold me into. But I'm willing to leave myself in God's hand. Many a time I escaped. I stayed away. I didn't want to suffer, but to seek pleasure. I turned away from God. But God went to seek me again and again. He encouraged me. Brothers and sisters, we have met the Lord, who is full of affection. I remember the devotion of your youth, your love as a bride, how you followed me in the wilderness, in a land not sown. Brothers and sisters, He will never forget us. I hope every one of us are willing to be the clay of the potter, to be His glorious vessel, to satisfy and glorify Him in this age, to be used by Him greatly. I'd like to tell you a story. One day, Pencil talked to its maker and said, I want to be the best pencil in the world. And the pencil maker replied, there are 5 things you need to remember. I bring you to the world, but you have to remember 5 things. These are the good reminders for you. Then be a good pencil. The pencil nodded its head and said, what are the 5 reminders? The pencil maker answered, first of all, you have to finish many good works. All you need to do is to leave yourself into somebody's hand. Trust in Him. Secondly, as time goes by, you will experience to be sharpened by the knife again and again. You may suffer a lot, but remember, if you wanted to be a successful pencil, to do many great works, this is the only way. Thirdly, I'm your maker. I have granted you the ability of making mistakes. Remember to use it. Fourth, your talent and your skill are within you, but not outwardly. And finally, You shall continue to write no matter what. Even in a difficult situation, you shall leave your writing nice and clear. Pencil understood, and he nodded his head. He became a successful pencil. He gave himself in the hand of a man and led him to write warrantably. When pencil became blunt, his master would sharpen it by pencil sharpener. Pencil was sharpened and drew many beautiful drawings, to write many great articles. Sometimes it might make mistakes. The head of the pencil is the eraser for correction. The most useful part is the pencil lid, to compose the most beautiful melodies by consuming all the lid, to draw the most beautiful pictures, to write the most touching articles. It couldn't be done by the wood. It confirmed the inner part was the most useful. Finally, pencil was getting shorter and shorter, but pencil still worked very hard. The master cherished this pencil very much until it has all consumed. When we became the Christian, do you understand we can be the best Christian in the world? Remember also these 5 points. All you need to do is to leave yourself in God's hand. Lifetime training and each sharpening will make you great to do the more glorious things. God gives you strength when you make mistake. Your mistake can be correct when you relied on Him, and you can start again. To value your spirit, for from your heart flow the springs of life. Lastly, you left the beautiful tracing. You have fought the good fight. Then your life will not be waste. Each one of us can be God's unique pencil. May the Lord bless you all.